Alright, let's see if everything works first. Gonna check some stuff real quick. God damn it. Alright, we're live. Welcome to a little Feng tutorial if you want to learn Feng. So, what we're gonna do, we're going to go through the move list together. I'm gonna explain the different moves, the options that those moves will be able to give you. On block, on hit, on counted, stuff like that, setups, wall carry, combo game. Basically, Feng in all his glory. So, right here we're gonna start with his 1-1. It's -11 on block, uncounted. It's not a natural combo. If the second hit connects uncounted though, you actually get a combo. If I wouldn't suck, that is. Yeah, something like that. So, this one right here, you basically never use, because 1-3 is way better. This will give you +3 on hit. On block, it's -13, so you're gonna eat a punish that hurts. The only reason to keep that string in mind is that you can cancel out, like, after the third hit, you cancel back into back turn stance, basically, where you get different options. I don't recommend it though, it's very risky. 1-3 is a way better option because it leaves you at +6. On block it's safe with -5. And as we know, up till -5, you're free to move around as you wish to the side, to continue with pressure or to evade and punish. Also, because it leaves you at +6, you're basically free to do whatever you want. You can go for counters, you can go for another 1-3 if you're feeling cheeky. You can go for an instant headbutt that will give you a guaranteed stomp on counter, stuff like that. So, his 2-4-1 you're gonna use very, very sparingly. If you use 2-4 and it gets blocked, it's -12, so it will get punished. It looks like it has some pushback, but a jab will always reach you most of the time. If the last hit connects on counter hit, because you can quite delay the last hit, or the last hit comes quite delayed, it results in a hard knockdown, which guarantees you a free shoulder. 3-3-4 only works in low ranks. The last one, if it gets blocked, you're gonna eat a launch. It leaves you on back turns as well. At +17, your best option from there is just to go for 3 to continue with the pressure. If your opponent presses something, he gets countered launched and you get the combo. If he doesn't press anything, it will leave you at +9 on block. So you're free to continue, or +8. It's dependent on the distance. You're basically free to do whatever you want to do. Mad Windmill is actually one of my favorite moves. It's a really good launcher as well. It's not safe because it's -13, but it's better than forward 3-4 or stuff like that. If you see it connect, you can immediately go for the second hit. It comes with a slight delay. You can hit confirm it if you're feeling really, really awake, but it's difficult. it takes some practice. If the first connects on block, you're safe. If the second connects on block, you will get punished. It's better than to get the windmill blocked than forward 3-4 though, because for that you're just gonna eat a launch. Also, the damage of that thing is just nuts. And that's without wall. Without wall, with wall, it's even more damage. Then we have the leaping whirlwind combo. If the first thing connects on block, you're still safe, of course. Oops, did the full thing. Leaves you at -7. When you're at between -5 and -8, most of the time you can just go for parry. So either with 1+2 or back 2+4. The low will launch the opponent, so you can get their combo. Yeah, but I would advise against using the low most of the time, because in the higher ranks people are just gonna block it. It's very, very visible, because the string itself takes quite some time to finish. Headspring is your counter against opponents who love to stay on the ground. As is forward 3. We most of the time will use Headspring instead though, just because it is a tad bit faster. Also, it's safe on block. And because it leaves you at -4, you're still free to move around. Or go for Parry Setup if you want to play it risky. 1+2 is kind of a special move. I use it as my main parry launcher most of the time. So basically it parries every punch. Yeah. And you get a combo from it. The thing is, if you guessed wrong and it gets blocked, it leaves you at -12. So most of the time you're gonna eat a jab punish string or so. Later down the line I'm gonna explain some parry setups for that one, which are most commonly used, but for now we will continue. You can use that for pressure if you want to, but it's 21 frames, so it's at the brink of being visible. It is visible. So most of the time I would probably just go for sidestep 4, because it's 1 frame faster. Because I would rather try to launch my opponent and get a combo from it, instead of going for low. That gives me plus frames and 17 damage only. And still have the risk of getting launched myself. Because that thing is punishable as hell. As you can see. Plus 31. Enough time to punish. So yeah, you should rather go for sidestep 4. It's the better option, really. One of my favorite string, the train of third, basically, Boss Husk. If the first connects uncountered, everything's guaranteed. So if you're in a situation where you know you're on plus and you just want to get the guaranteed damage, you go for that. If you see that the first two connect, on counter that is, or connect at all, most of the time it's difficult to tell if you landed a counter or not. So if it connects, you go for the full thing. If it doesn't connect, you just do the first two. Leaves you at -5, so it's enough time to move around with his shenanigans, sidestep moves and so on. Climbing Dragon. This one's your main long range with punish. This one you only throw out when you're 100% sure that your opponent with an attack and the recovery takes a while. So if you see your opponent with something over long range, or you want to punish a forward 2 from Heihachi or stuff like that, you can go for that move. If it gets blocked though, you're gonna eat a launch instead, so use with caution. Now we're coming to his forward 4 mix-up. He has different options from here. He has the stomp itself. If the first gets blocked and I think it doesn't even need to be countered. Yeah, if the second connects the mid, you get a guaranteed stomp for some guaranteed damage. If the first connects and the first only connects, you can get a combo from here. If you want to go for the mix-up, basically, you have the low version as well, which will launch if you're close enough. Needs to be really close, otherwise it doesn't count as a clean hit. Or, if you want to mix it up even more, you can just do the forward 4 itself and hold back, which will leave you in backturned. And even if you hit your opponent and are backturned, you can still get the combo. So basically, after forward 4, you hold back, then down forward, while standing 1, and then you convert however you want to. Tiger Claw. This here is your main screw move. It's homing as well. It's good to keep opponents in check who love to step a lot. It will launch on counter hit and normal hit, so it's a really great move to catch steppers. Your other homing move would be down forward 3+4. It takes quite a while to wind up. Gives you a chance to go for forward 3 for continued pressure. If your opponent tries to get up with a get-up kick of some sort, they're gonna get countered, launched, and eat a full combo. Also it's safe on block at -9, so that's really a really good move. I can't stress enough how good that move is. So, Shifting Clouds is one of his stances basically. The thing with Shifting Clouds is that it has a built-in parry, which will parry everything between punches and kicks. The only exceptions being stuff like elbows, knees, headbutts, the usual stuff, you know. So, the punch he does after the parry comes automatically if he parried at least 2 hits. If he only parries 1 hit, nothing on its own will happen. I can show that as well. Actually leaves you at -15. So if your opponent baits that, he can launch you for that. So be careful. But most people don't know that, so you should be safe nonetheless. Alright, let's continue. Now we got Baodan Po. You can get a combo from that. It's a bit tricky. You basically have to cancel it like that. So what I do is I do dash forward, like forward, neutral, forward, 1+2. That's what I do. The timing on that is very tricky though, and because I neglected Feng for quite a while, I can't pull it off as consistently as I used to, but it's basically your main launch out of Shifting Clouds. That's the fast option, basically, because this right here is quite slow with 20 frames. I remember there being a huge difference in minus frames on block. Ah, yes. So basically, for the first one I showed you, people like Leroy and Kunimitsu can actually launch you for that. So it is kinda unsafe, but it depends on the character you're playing against. If you play against Kunimitsu, because of a pushback, her punish is gonna whiff. If you play against Leroy, who has like a 4-2-2 string based, a 4-4-2-2 string, which will close the distance between you, then you're fucked. So depending on your opponent, you either go for the fast, a bit safer version, where you won't eat the launch. That's against people who can launch you for being minus 14. But if you're playing against someone who doesn't have a decent minus 14 launcher, you can just throw this out. That's one of your pressure tools out of Shifting Cloud. It's a high, so it can be ducked and while standing punished, so watch out for that. It leaves you at +8, and at +8 you can basically go for anything you want to, really. For example, you can go for forward 2-1-2, which is a natural combo on counter hit. You can go for down back 1-4 or down back 1 into that backstep or Shifting Clouds. You have a low as well as a mix-up, leaves you at +2. Because of the... you can't really call it pushback, but because it doesn't happen on block. But you can see that there is some sort of distance between you and your opponent. It doesn't really leave you close to the opponent. So rather than continuing to press buttons and whiff and get launched for that, like a dump ass, I would suggest sidestepping or going for back 3+4 to fish for launch or some guaranteed damage. Yeah, like that for example. Feng Lianji, if you press everything immediately and as long as the first hit connects, everything's guaranteed. You can delay the last hit. I wouldn't recommend doing so though. It's only if you saw that your opponent blocks a lot or is turtling a lot and you kind of want to catch him off guard, but it's difficult. I wouldn't suggest doing so, because there's literally no way to hit confirm this. It's too fast. Then you've got the Godfist. It's one of the best wall bounces in the game. It's at 20 frames, does decent damage on its own, is a wall bounce, and leaves you at -6. You can go for Parry Setups from there. Lift Kick is a safe launch. Leaves you at -7, so again, can go for Parry Setups. Or you can go for the combo itself, basically. Yeah, something like that. You know, the usual Feng stuff. Front kick on its own you're never gonna really use. Perhaps as a poke over long range, but back 2 is better. This right here is your bread and butter wall carry. On block it's punishable as hell, so I would not recommend using that out of neutral. I would only utilize that in combos themselves. This one right here, his new move he got in, I think he got it season 4. Yes. This one you can just throw out whenever, basically, when you want to get some guaranteed damage. Leaves you at +13, so you can pretty much go for anything you want to, really. It's safe on block, leaves you at -6, so you can go for Parry Setups again. And it's a screw move, so... Also, this, because it has quite the low hitbox, I would utilize that for those combos where you can't really pick up your opponent with forward 1+2. So that's basically your screw move to go if you really want to go for those mini combos. Yeah, about that move we talked already. It's safe on block as well. Leaves you at -8. If your opponent gets it, you can either go for forward 3 or forward 3-4 if you're feeling risky. But I would advise against using that. Forward 3-4, that is, as a follow-up. Because most people are just gonna stay on the ground. You're gonna whiff like an idiot and they're gonna launch you for it, so... Better safe than sorry, had to go for forward 3. Eventually you can get the counted, or you get the guaranteed pressure, because it's just insane on block. Heavy Hammer gives you a mini combo basically. I can't remember if you were able to convert into an actual combo from this. I don't think you can. It leaves you on +2 on block. Yeah, +2 on block, so you can go for back 1 to Fishhook counters, or back 4 if you kind of want to chip at them away. Yeah, and the mini combo is as follows. So after back 2, you do back 4, down 4, 1+2, 50 damage. You can hit your opponent through the wall with that as well. So it will balcony, it will wall break. Yeah, Parting Heavens. The full thing most of the time you will only use in those mini combos I was talking about earlier. Down 4 on its own you can use as a poke where you still remain standing if you don't want to go for his crouch mix-up game. Because it leaves you at neutral, it's good to throw out a back 1, for example. Or you can sidestep, you can go for his evasive back 3+4, stuff like that. Now we've got Spear of Lubu and Spinning Extract. So most of the time we're just gonna hit Spinning Extract out, right? If our opponent starts to duck though, we go for the mid version. If the mid connects, it leaves us at +7. So we can go for Boar's Tusk. We can go for the headbutt, stuff like that, right? If the headbutt connects, Stomp's guaranteed. Probably taught that already. Also, the special thing about those two, if you only do the down back 1 and then hold back or hold forward, you're gonna transition between his backstab and shifting clouds. That's the thing you can do when you know that your opponent is turtling or playing very, very patient, or if you want to bait him into punishing you with a backstab, or just want to check what his reaction in general is. Also, if you do the backstab or shifting clouds, you can cancel those into each other. So here, for example, I do shifting clouds, right? Forward 3+4. Then I hold back, and suddenly I get the options he would only get from back 3+4. Works in reverse as well. So if you do back 3+4 and you hold forward, you will transition into shifting clouds and get every option you have from shifting clouds. Hellwinds is one of those crab killer moves you can use in low ranks, but won't ever see in high ranks. The first 2 hits, if those connect, you get a combo. there's probably some better stuff than the bullshit I'm doing. Yeah, that's more like it. If I remember correctly, oops. Yeah, leaves you at -17. So if your opponent is used to you only using the 2 first hits, he's gonna wild standing punish you for it. That's why I've got the 3rd hit to discourage him from wild standing punishers. If we just do the first, we're gonna be neutral. We're crushing highs because we count as in crouch. When we get out of it, we're actually still standing like we're used to. And because it's neutral, that means we can, again, fish for counters with back 1. We can go for sidestep shenanigans. We can use back 3+4. We can backdash and whiff punish if we wish to do so. Down back 3 is one of your absolute must-have tools with Feng. It's great at annoying your opponent. It leaves you at +4 most of the time at max range. It leaves you at +5. If it connects, you have several options. So you can go, what I like to do for his wild standing 1-2-1. If I know my opponent is gonna interrupt, I'm just gonna do 1-2, because if I do the full thing, the last hit always gets blocked and I'm gonna get punished instead. If I know that my opponent loves to turtle a lot, we can do the first 2 and heavily delay the last hit. If we know that he knows that as well, instead of using our wild standing stuff, we can just remain encrouched, press forward and 1 at the same time, and annoy him with his small lows that will leave us at -1. After that, we can either remain in crouch, go for the wild standing if we think that our opponent is hesitating, or if we want to get safely out of there, we can go for up forward 2, which will leave us at +3 on hit, and I believe it's basically safe on block as well, because of a pushback. Jabs won't reach us. Only characters with huge arms like Gigas or Fakumram, characters like those will still be able to punish us, but everyone else in the roster, we're safe. So, what if that thing connects and countered? If it connects and counter hit, we're gonna get that neat animation right there. It will leave us in back turn. Our best option here is to go for just 3 to continue with the pressure, because it leaves us at +8. If we notice that our opponent is trying to step that, we go for the low. At a certain distance it won't launch, of course, because it's not a clean hit anymore. It's just to keep our opponent in check. Because our opponent is quite some distance away from us after we do this, if he's trying to retaliate while he ate the hit, even if we're on -4, we should be safe as long as he doesn't use any long range mids. So we could just stay in crouch and go for wild standing 1-2 again. We could go for full crouch for 2 if we're feeling risky and want to risk our lives. We can go for forward 1, or we can just wait. Hang on. Wait and see what he does. Backdash, use back 3+4, sidestep. Like, we have a lot of options there. So that's our snake edge basically. You can, as you could with Shifting Clouds 1, cancel with this to get the combo. It's tricky though, not gonna lie. If you want to make your life a bit easier, you just go for Wild Standing 1, because the snake edge itself will leave you in crouch. And then go for Down Back 1-4 or the new move to combo. It's launch punishable on block and very seeable, very visible, so watch out. Down Back 1+2/2 is a kind of gimmicky string. It's safe on block, the first hit that is. It leaves you at neutral, so you could pressure with... no, pressure is the wrong term. You could contest your opponent with stuff like 1-2, go for counters with back 1, stuff like that, or go for sidestep shenanigans or movement shenanigans themselves. Kind of the same with this, like if a second connects, it will leave you neutral as well. Your safest bet is just to go back into block. If you want to play a bit more risky, you can remain in crouch and go for his full crouch mix-up we talked about earlier. Or you can go for his Wild Standing 1+2, which is a parry of some sorts. I've never actually managed to land that one myself, but it's a thing, so I'm telling you now. Yeah, back 1 is basically his main counter hit against opponents who can't wait to press buttons. If it connects, we get a guaranteed shoulder. Basically, every hard knockdown will give us the guaranteed shoulder. Yeah. So, Hungry Tiger is a bit similar to Down Back 1+2/2. But on its own, it's a bit different as well. Most of the time, you're just gonna do the first two. The follow-up, you're only gonna do if you know that your opponent is trying to interrupt you. Let me see if I can get the distance right. Oh my god, it has a shit ton of range as well. Jesus Christ. Yeah, so if the third hit connects, the second is always guaranteed. And I think if second connects on counter hit, yeah, the following rest of the string is guaranteed as well. If only the first hits, no, I'm confusing it with a different move. I'm confusing it with down 2 at the moment. Well, basically, you can mix it with those two. If you do the second, like only up to the second, it will leave you in your standing position at neutral. So again, you can go for movement, back 1, back 3+4, stuff like that. Back 3-3 is a move you will barely see online or barely use yourself. It's safe, leaves you at -6, you can go for parry setups, you can go for movement. If it connects, it leaves you at +3, so there's that. Also, moves that leave you at +3. If you think your opponent is gonna press something, and you're feeling risky, you can actually go for the shoulder. Because if they are trying to throw out a jab, the jab is gonna trade with the shoulder and the exchange is gonna be in your favor. Be careful though, because the shoulder is punishable as fuck. So use with caution and only use when you've got good reads on your opponent or know that he's open for punish. Your shoulder is your -13 punish as well. So there's some knowledge involved you need to have. So this right here makes you go into back turn stance manually. We're starting to cover those options now. So we've got Backfist right here. On hit, it leaves you at plus 14. On block, it's safe. So, how do we do that? How do we utilize that move, I mean? His sidestep 2 will actually leave your opponent in minus frames. It will give you plus 3. Then, if you follow up with 1, which is a 12 frame move, God damn it, which is a 12 frame move, your opponent won't be able to interrupt it. So he will, of course, eat the back turned 1, which will leave you in turn at plus 14 frames, which guarantees a free shoulder. At the wall, very, very deadly, lots and lots of damage. Then we've got Circling Tiger. If the first connects, the second is guaranteed. The second hit is very delayable. If the second connects on counter hit, it's combo time. Then we've got Hustling Elbow. It's a hard knockdown. Most of the time we're just gonna use that to keep our opponent in check. And if we want to remain in back turn stance, if it gets blocked, we can try and evade our opponent's punishment attempt by using down 3 to get a launch for free. It's risky shit though, so use with caution. Yeah, that's just the sweep itself. We already talked about that. Out of back turn, you get a unique throw as well. 50 damage, good damage, very difficult to react to. It's a great move. Fishhook is one of those moves you can use to keep opponents who love to step around a lot in check. It leaves you at plus 2 as well. So you on hit you can either go for a second one if you want to keep your opponent in check. If he eats the second one, your opponent most certainly will go back into defensive mode, meaning you're then free to go for your pressure with headbutt, forward 3, and down back 3. Or roll dash 1. Yeah. The shoulder, already talked about that one. Your minus 13 Punisher, launch punishable on block. After hard knockdown, basically your finishing move. Deceptive Step, we already talked about that one as well on its own, but we haven't talked about the follow-ups. So, the follow-up leaves you at plus 8. So if that connects, instead of going for a full crouch mix-up with full crouch forward 1 and while standing 1-2, we actually have 2 additional options now. If we're feeling risky, we can go for while standing 3. If our opponent tries to interrupt us, he's gonna eat the launch. And we get a combo for free. That's if we're feeling risky. If we want to play it safer, but still get some damage in, we go for while standing 2. On hit, it will leave us at plus 7, so we could go for Boss Tusk. We can go for back 4, back 1, headbutt. The usual, basically. The thing about this is, if it connects and counter it, it's combo time. So if it connects and counter it, we get a combo for free. Also, it's safe on block, that's why it's the safest option we have. So, this right here, safe on block. Our opponent tried to press something, or wanted to dash in. He's gonna get some damage. 44 damage for free from a safe high. Because you evaded your opponent and immediately retaliated. That's if your opponent with the move that has quick recovery, then you go for that. If your opponent with something that's very slow to recover, you're gonna go for this instead. It's slower, but it's a guaranteed launch at that point. If you manage to punish your opponent with that, of course. This is more of, how should I say, a gimmick. If the first connects, it's fine. If it doesn't, you kinda have a counter against an opponent who tries to approach right after, because he thinks it's his turn to attack. So it really is like a gimmick. The thing about his get-up kick though, his version of a spring kick though, is you actually get a combo from that. It's really dumb, but it works. Also, if you only do the first one and it gets blocked, you're still safe. So you can either play a bit risky and go for his special spring kick, or you can play it safe, only do the first one and go back and to block. So this move right here, you can throw out as many times as you wish. It's -10, but because of a pushback, even opponents with long arms won't be able to hit you. Leaves you at +9, so you can go for whatever you want basically at that point. Also, because of a pushback, if your opponent tries to dash in or do stuff, you're actually free to still move around with back 3+4 or to the sides. Yeah. I don't remember doing anything on counter, but I'm gonna check nonetheless. Yeah, no, did nothing on counter. Yeah, that's your unblockable. That's bad. Don't use it. This move we already talked about. For some reason it seems to be twice in the move list. Okay. Yeah, Eagle Claw, you can pretty much forget. You might be able to use that for Parry Setup, but that would be a fucking weird Parry Setup, but whatever. If you like the move, you can use it, but I don't use it myself. Evading Palm Strike is one of your bread and butter moves you're gonna use all the time to get out of sticky situations or after safe strings to harass your opponent some more. On counter it doesn't really give you anything. If it connects on hit and you think your opponent is gonna press something, you can either go for shoulder, back 4, or if you think your opponent is gonna try something like an evasive launch, like Lars up forward 3 for example, that crushes a lot of moves, you can go for back 4-1. He actually takes a step back, will evade a shit ton of moves that way. And on counter hit, you can get a combo with down back 1-4. The pickup is a bit tricky though. I can't get it myself because I'm bad. But if you just want to go for the guaranteed damage, you can just go for forward 3. It will connect and 51 damage is nothing to laugh about either. Yeah, Sideswipe, as the name suggests, hits your opponent to the side that way. If you time it right, you could chain it together with forward 3+4. It's risky though, so you should rather go for forward 3. It's safer, leaves you at plus frames, so you can continue to pressure and will annoy the shit out of your opponent. Upward 4. It's your 15 frame launch basically. It has a very shitty range, so there are some moves that are minus 15, but you won't be able to punish them with Feng because it has shit range. But if your opponent ever throws something out, that's minus 15 and, well, leaves them close on block against you. That's your punish to go, basically. Assassin's Bow. So, if you only do the first hit on its own, you get a combo. If you think your opponent is gonna block the first hits, but not the second, and he doesn't hold back, let me see. Damn it. Oh my god, the range. No, so it's not that one. Has to be that one then. Oh my god. So if they don't hold back, you get a guaranteed shoulder. Also, if your opponent blocks everything, you're at minus 6. So you can go for Parry Setups with 1+2 or back 2+4. The thing about that move is that the last one is a hit, so people who know Feng very well will duck the last hit and while standing punish you, so watch out for that. 4-4-2 is your long range with punish, basically. It's something you can throw out from time to time as well, if you feel like you can catch your opponent stepping or rushing in, or he just has a moment where he doesn't pay as much attention as he should pay towards you. You can keep him with that in check. It's safe, it has decent range, it's a good move. Yeah, 4-4-3, godlike move. Leaves you on plus, on block as it does on hit. Guarantees the combo on counter hit. Does damage, good damage when it connects. And in OK situations, it's great to use as well. It's one of your key tools, basically. Spreading wings, I would never use in neutral. I only use that one in combos. You can delay the second hit, so basically, the main combo path I'm taking is, after a launch, you screw your opponent, right? Then you go for the delayed second hit, basically, from spreading wings. The timing is a bit finicky, but once you get it down, it shouldn't be an issue, really. So you do that. And if you screwed with fought 1+2 and didn't throw in any jabs in between, you should always be able to finish your combo with a wall carry. So down forward 1 to 1+2. If we do it from one of those small combos though, like that, it will just whiff. That's why, as a rule, basically, only use it if you haven't used any jabs in your combos, and if you used forward 1+2 to screw. Then you can go for that. Otherwise, you can still go for the move itself, of course, right? But instead of the wall carry option, you go for the shoulder. Oh my god. I'm waiting too much. yeah, to still get the damage basically. Fort 1+2. I kinda have a hate-love relationship with that thing. You can hold it down. It's his power crush. If you hold it down and you hit your opponent with it, it leaves you at +14, which guarantees a shoulder. If it gets blocked, the charged up version that is, it will leave you at +3, so you can continue with pressure still if you want to. If you do the quick version, most people won't be able to punish you, except larger characters like Marduk, Fakumram, and Gigas. Yeah, Falk can speak, we've already talked about that one. What I missed about that move though, if it gets blocked, you eat a launch. So it's risky to use. I wouldn't rely on it too much, but it's good to throw out from time to time. If your opponent thinks, oh, now he's done with his string, it's my time to do something. So, Lingering Shadow, or as most people refer to, the roll dash, you can chain those together, basically. You can basically do the input itself, sidestep, and then immediately go for it again. Or you can just wait the full thing. And as soon as it's finished, go for a second one. If you go for the one option, leaves you at +2. As you can see, it leaves you at quite a range, so you can't really continue pressure. While you're at +2, you can only keep your opponents in check with back 4. Go for sidestep movement, forward up 2 to keep your opponent in check, or go for back 3+4 shenanigans. If the thing connects and counter hit, which it will do from time to time, you get a combo. Who would have thought? Yeah, that was shitty on my part. What the fuck? Yeah, better to use down back 1-4, I guess. It's more consistent. You've got another version of F-Well as well. The Mountain Crusher. Huge amount of damage if it lands. It's -14 on block though, so use with caution. The Headbutt. It's one of your main pressure tools. Leaves you at +4 on block, +8 on hit. So after you manage to hit someone with that, you can go for Boss Tusk, for example, down forward 1, stuff like that, right? Also the Headbutt on countered, guaranteed stomp. Yeah. Running 3 leaves you at +6. You can throw that out from time to time, but it's very steppable, so use with caution. About this we already talked. This we talked about as well. Yeah, your basic white standing punish after blocking a launch punishable low, sweep or snake edge. Right. After wild standing 4, if it gets blocked because you're -7, you can go for Parry Setups. Oh my god, I actually read PP hands instead of push hands. Yeah, this has a built-in parry. I'm incredibly shitting at utilizing that. I think I've never utilized that parry in a real match. Yeah, the timing's just weird. Like, I'm actually lost on how to set that one up, you know. I just don't understand how the move is supposed to be utilized. Yeah, Silent Arrow we talked about as well. Monkey Strike is basically your big Snake Edge punish. Use with caution though, because as most things in life, it's punishable. Who would have thought? Yeah, minus 14. So Leroy and Kunimitsu, for example, will be able to punish that without a problem. Yeah, Sidestep 2, we talked about it already. It's your best way to get into back turned together with forward 4 and holding back. Sidestep 3-2 we haven't talked about though yet. You can just do sidestep 3 and kind of remain at a distance. If your opponent doesn't immediately go for a punish, you can go for back 3 plus 4 to bait your opponent into eating a launch or guaranteed damage, depending on the situation. You can hold back to go into back turn from here, if you know that your opponent is gonna be turtling hard or is a more patient kind of player. If your opponent knows, alright, he's gonna go into back turn from that, you're gonna do the full thing, so 3-2. He's gonna eat the shoulder, and it's gonna end in a knockdown for him, basically. And to keep up with the pressure, you're gonna go for just 3 out of back turned. Yeah, his fastest low launch. Sidestep 4. Of course, punishable on block, launch punishable, you know, the usual thing. Sidestep 1 plus 2. You can throw out from time to time. The move on its own is really good to use close to wall, because this little shit right here will break your opponent through walls and guaranteed balcony breaks if your opponent eats the hit. If he doesn't eat the hit, it still leaves you at +1, so you can try to break wall splat them with back 1 and then get them with the shoulder through the wall. Yeah, that's just the spring up, the spring kick, stomp, we know that one, taunt. Yeah, his 10 hit I would only use for shits and giggles, the first one, that is. But 10 hits in general you should not normally use, so yeah. Avalanche is one of his command grabs. This one actually will floor break. It's a 1+2 break to get out of. Parry. With Feng you can parry different attacks. Who would have thought? Depending on what action you parry, you get different results. Let me see. Yeah, as I thought, you couldn't parry kicks. It was only a pure punch parry. S is 1+2. So, if I parry a move which utilizes 1, for example, you get that animation. You switch sides. You can go for forward 3 for some more pressure, but if your opponent presses anything at all, get up kick wise, you're probably gonna eat the backup kick. So most of the time I would probably try to go for the stomp, but for some reason sometimes the stomp triggers and sometimes it doesn't. It's weird. I don't know why that is. Alright, another one. If you parry 2, it ends in that kind of knockdown, as you can see. Most of the time it doesn't guarantee any follow-up. Because of the range itself, you can go for 4-4-3 if you want to. Yeah, shifting clouds we talked about. Yeah, his rage drive is just an improved shoulder, basically. Let me see, where is it? Yeah. Oops. Not really worth it to use in mini combos though. Except if there's a wall nearby. Or you can see a wall where you can hit your opponent for wall split. Let's change to a level with wall. So I'm gonna show off some stuff there as well. Alright. Yeah. As you can see, if you hit your opponent with that, he will travel quite the distance and actually slap into the wall. So, what are our wall options? Most of the time we're just gonna do 1-3 into shoulder. Let's do it without rage for now, so you see what the damage is like. There we go. Back one, as I said, wall splits, so good damage. Also, sidestep 1+2, wall splits. If they block, you're +1. If you're +1, you go for back one. And if they try to press anything at all, you're gonna get that damage for free, basically. Another option you have is you can go for flip, for some Oki, basically. And then go for 4-4-3. If you think your opponent won't immediately press any get-up kick. Or you can go for his Headspring. His Headspring on block, by the way, is -3, so you're still free to move around. Go for Parry Setups, the usual stuff, right? What else did we have? Ah, right. Remember 2-4-1 wall splits. Remember while standing 1-1 wall splits. Remember down for 1+2 uncounted, the full string is guaranteed. Wall splits. So basically you just have a lot of options there to get a wall split in some kind of way. Alright. So, we saw how to carry our opponent to the wall at max range, right? Ah, crap. Instead of running like an idiot, let's do it that way. Yeah, that was too far, I guess. $100 damage for one combo. Yeah, it doesn't really get better than that. So, if your opponent is a bit closer to the wall, you go for 4-3-4 to split them, or you can go for God damn it. Down forward 4-3. That works as well. Or if your opponent is still airborne, you basically press 1-3 to wall splat them. That works as well. That's like the closest you can do it. When you're very, very close to wall, you're gonna do 1-3 into 1-3 and then end it with a shoulder. Yeah, those are his different wall carry options. Do we have something else? Did I forget anything at all? Wall bounce perhaps. Yeah. For wall bounce you have different options. At max range you can go for forward 4-3, where the second hit is delayed. If it gets a bit closer than that, forward 3-4. If it's closer than that, down forward 4-3. And if it's incredibly close, you just go for 1-3. And then immediately into shoulder. Or if you get a sidewall for some reason, another 1-3 and then the shoulder. Alright, let's talk about all the parry setups you have. So, when I'm talking about parry, or parry setups, I'm talking about 1+2 parry. You can of course use the back 2+4 parry, but the reward for using 1+2 parry is better. Both only work against punches. The back 2+4 parry I would only use if my opponent uses a string I recognize, where I know I can get a guaranteed parry off. Jin's laser cannon, for example, or Yoshimitsu's down forward 1-2, stuff like that. Visible stuff. Everything else, where you're going for reads, you're gonna use the 1+2 parry. So, when can we use that? We can use that after Assassin's Bow, because we're -6. We can use it after down forward 3. We can use it after the Headspring kick, or whatever the fuck it's called. I kind of missed. We can use it after Backfist as well. Was there anything else? After 1-3 you can use it as well. So those are all moves where you can parry right after. Also, I kinda just remembered I didn't explain down forward 1, so I'm gonna do that now. Down forward 1 is a move you're gonna... Alright, let's explain it differently. Down forward 1, his down forward 1 is different from the generic down forward 1. It's neutral on block. Most down forward ones are minus. It's 1 frame slower. It's because it's generic down forward ones are 13 frames and his is 14 frames. Also, on counter hit, he gets that unique knockdown animation, basically. You don't get anything guaranteed from it, but it leaves you at +36. And those are different from the usual plus frames, basically. You don't get anything guaranteed, but if you're setting up counter hits and your opponent presses anything at all, he's gonna eat those counter hits. The two options you can do after the counter hit down forward 1 connected are forward 3, the headbutt, and forward 2-1-2. Those are probably the best options you have. If you want to play a bit more risky, you can go for the windmill move, or forward 3-4 if you really want to throw your life away, I guess. Also, because it's 14 frames, if your headbutt gets blocked most of the time, you will just go for down forward 1. Most people are not sure if it's plus or neutral, so some people will actually wait after one down forward 1, and that's when you're gonna throw out another one. Because it's neutral and block, you can either step, go for back 3+4, parries, or back 1 to fish for counter hits. Basically, his down forward 1 is one of his most important tools in combination with back 1, down back 3, forward 3, and his different stances, of course. So, we covered wall combos, we covered some okiseme. Basically, whenever your opponent's on the ground, go for forward 3. I kinda showed some combos. Yeah, and that's basically Feng. I've basically shown you the basics and some stuff he can do. I showed you my way on how I kind of play him. I wouldn't take everything I showed you and just repeat it in a... Like, don't just replicate my playstyle. Use the information I gave you and build your own playstyle from it. I, for example, love to use forward 3 and shifting cloud 3 and stuff like that, but you don't have to do that. Just play the way you want to. If it works, it's the right way. I showed you one possibility, but it doesn't have to be the right one. Maybe your Feng will actually play a lot different than mine. You will never know. Or might be a lot better than mine. That's always a possibility. So with that, I wish you fun with your new knowledge you've gained now. And I will see you in the next stream/video. Till then.